So turns out I had more things to talk about with the whole Sonic thing. More so with like the games side of thing rather than the fandom, because like obviously I have my issues with the fandom, but like there's so much to talk about when it comes to like gameplay mechanics. So much stuff that actually interests me that I like to discuss more of, and not like just complaining about like what went wrong, but like lots of stuff that goes good. Like in fact, I even have some compliments towards certain games, even when they're not all that great, or just okay. Like, take for example, Frontiers. Like, I gotta give Frontiers its flowers because even though it didn't really turn out how I'd want an open world Sonic game to be, it still managed to actually do some good things that Sonic games have been missing for a long ass time. I'm talking like having multiple playable characters again for like the first time in over a decade and change. Oh, you like that whole loop thing there. That was nice. And like spin dashing with the slope physics and stuff, like that has been so needed in Sonic games for so long. It felt like it's been like darn near 20 years since a 3D Sonic game had like proper use of slope physics, and it's just been feeling incomplete without it, And then there's like the boss fights. Holy shit, the boss fights. So that was freaking amazing. That was kick ass. Most baller ass shit, so much hype. Like Super Sonic has never had so much goddamn sauce. Like he was making moves, but he wasn't with it like that, until Frontiers was just like coming up with all this crazy ass shit he can do. We never seen him do before, like with the freaking projection shit, grabbing the giant sword, freaking counterattacks with perfect parries with the hands. Like what the fuck? Super Sonic was never with it like that. Like that was some extra saucy Super Saiyan shit. Like you'd expect that kind of ore farming out of like fucking Goku or Vegeta or whatever the fuck. Yeah, it was fun to play. All those boss fights were hype. Having those slope physics was really nice, especially with those DLC levels where they really take advantage of it. I didn't think that a Boost Sonic game in any capacity would ever have level design that insane. Like some of this stuff they were pulling off in there was nuts. So yeah, my compliments to Frontiers. Like the open world design, not quite what I'm looking for, but like they at least tried in some aspects and actually like brought back some stuff that was really important to bring back, and it was nice. Really appreciate that. Like having Knuckles do cool shit again, having Tails not be whatever the fuck they're doing in the forces. Amy's actually like fun to play as and isn't annoying everyone. It's nice. It's nice to have. That all being said, it does kind of beg the question, because like there are other aspects that were kind of like downgraded over the years that I feel like could also be brought back in some capacity. Take for example, like rails. I don't know what the heck happened with the rails, but it just seems like ever since they were introduced in Sonic Adventure 2, they kind of just been downgraded since then. Like sure, it had like its little quirks, like not being able to do a proper rail transfer without flying off into oblivion, but like they eventually worked out the kinks on that. So it's like, can you do that while also keeping the other mechanics that made it fun to use in SA2, like being able to lean to the curves and crouch down to like pick up speed? Like can we bring that stuff back? Because like as it is right now, it kind of just feels like you jump on the rail, you press the boost button, and you kind of just wait until you get to the part where you actually have to like move and dodge stuff, actually. Like it feels like the 3 lanes thing again, except with even less movement, because you're literally just stuck on 3 scripted rails instead of actually moving around on the rails like you're a living thing doing stuff on the rails, not a machine. You know what I'm saying? Like, we really need to bring that stuff back, like actual rail grinding mechanics where you're actually taking advantage of the physics to like get through the rails more efficiently, like taking advantage of the movement and such. I think that would be fun. Like, it was fun in SA2, it just had some kinks to work out. some faults that you could work on. It's like a first build. Like, yeah, it's not going to be perfect, so get back to it. See if you can work out some of the problems and like refine it into something better. Not take away aspects until like it's something bland, you know? And that's always been like my biggest problem with Rails over the years. Like, starting with heroes even. Like, you weren't able to like lean into the curves anymore. You just had to hold down the B button to like crouch and go faster, and that's it. And the rail transfer is still like janky. They didn't really fix the rail transfer until like Shadow the Hedgehog. And by then it was like, it started to feel a bit automated. And more so by the time you got to the boost games. For some reason you couldn't even rail transfer at all at 06, though that's probably just telling because like that game's just blatantly unfinished compared to everything else. And then there's like, yeah, I already bring up the slope physics, but like, it was something that's always bothered me for the longest time, because it's like, it's Sonic the Hedgehog. He kind of started with the slope physics, so like, it seems weird that it kind of just stopped trying with that from like Heroes onward. We just didn't get it back until Frontiers. For the most part, it just feels so bizarre. Like doing all this automation for like loops and stuff, and instead of just letting the momentum carry you through like you used to in the Genesis games and Sonic Adventure, even to some extent, when they weren't doing like loops. Because they started with automation on the loops and it kind of just spread to everything else eventually. But at least like it was excusable back in like 1998 because like they were still trying to like figure out the tech there, and it was really janky trying to like make things work. But like by the mid 2000s, it seems like a lot of other games out there are already kind of figuring it out, and it's like, why did we still keep using this band-aid solution when other games already kind of made it work by like 2003? You know? It's weird. Honestly, its scripting kind of just gets abused a lot in general in this series. Like, if it isn't the loops, it's probably like some scripted sequence in order to have some nice visual effect, like the whole truck chase sequence and like, Killer Whale and all that. And, like, other games copying something similar to that since then. It's like, at a certain point, like, do we still need to do this specifically, even in like parts where you're not getting chased by something? Like, we can give the player a little more control. I'm just saying. Let us do some cool stuff with like the physics. Maybe do like some crazy level design stuff. Being able to skip over things just from like sheer skill. A lot of fan games kind of understand the assignment on this. I'm just saying. It's really fun to do. And it really kind of suits the kind of gameplay that you get with Sonic in particular. Because the whole deal is like rolling around and being able to like do these crazy kind of jumps because you're like carrying your momentum over intuitive jumps and being able to bridge wider gaps than you ever could just doing base movement on its own. I always felt like that was always part of the appeal of Sonic gameplay compared to like most other platformers, at least. And yeah, like elements like parkour obviously just adds to that because it just fits the character well, like both on a technical level because that's kind of what his gameplay always was, and also on a personality level because it just seems like something he would do. Does Sonic the Hedgehog not seem like the kind of person that does parkour? Because like that just seems like his bread and butter. That seems right up his alley, like as a character. I'm surprised I don't see more of that coming out of him. Like we don't see him like casually doing that shit on the daily. Even when he's not like doing some crazy adventure fighting Eggman or whatever. It just seems to fit so well, you know? Now, that's not to say that there aren't aspects of other Sonic games throughout the 2000s and 2010s that I don't think had like their perks as well. Like, it isn't just about like the momentum physics and the parkour. Sometimes there's some other moves and such, and like other things that you can do that really kind of elevate like the whole thing. It's like obviously like I got into the series in the 2000s. There's stuff I like about the 2000s era of Sonic. There's stuff I like about the characters, stuff I like about the mechanics, the music, absolutely fire. Like take for example, say the adventure games again. I like a lot about like the environment design, the 3D movement. Obviously like some of the abilities that were added over the years as well. I dig the ring dash. Homing attack has its uses, even though it does kind of get abused a bit in some entries. Like it gets a bit automated in places, I'll admit, but like I understand like the need for it, you know, because like there be aspects of moving around in a 3D environment that can make it a bit tricky to navigate with a 3D space with a character that can move so quickly. So like that I can find somewhat excusable in that respect, though I do kind of question why it's even needed in like a 2D game, because do you really need the home in on enemies that much in like a 2D game? Like we managed pretty well, I'd say, without it. I don't know why you need like Sonic 4 or whatever. Like 3D games, it just makes more sense. Then you got stuff like the boost mechanics. I don't really mind the boost. I think it's alright. Now, is it for every game? Maybe not, but like I do see like some use for it when it comes to like certain aspects of level design you want to be able to make. But having it be like the end all be all where it's like the main mechanic and overshadows everything else, I don't know about that. Cause like, I like being able to use stuff like the spin dash and like air dashes and like other types of moves that don't require boosting just to be able to get through anything. It's kind of why I think like movement in the air can feel a bit stiff in a lot of entries, especially in the boost games. It feels like you need like an air dash or boost to even make it over some of the smaller gaps sometimes because of the way it levels the way it out. Something to definitely work on in the future. I don't know if that's something to like take note of. At least I think that it's something to like consider in the future, at least. There's also like some technical abilities that I've discussed before in like older videos when it comes to like certain aspects, like say augmenting certain moves with fire aspects. I know that was something that happened in certain entries depending on the circumstances. There's like stuff like say crawling and sliding. Like, do you want to have that while also having stuff like the spin dash? Like, is there a need to have both or have one over the other? I can see there's some discussion over something like that for sure. And then there's like say combat abilities and such. Like, do you just want to keep it simple and just do like a 1-2 punch type of deal? Do you want to do like just a flip kick because it's like quick and snappy, or like a sweep kick where like you just being able to pull that off while crouching and be able to like sweep the enemies while passing through? It really depends on what you want to go for, I suppose. Like, what would Sonic Team pick specifically? I don't know. It keeps changing up depending on the entry. I mean, Frontiers kind of has like a whole combat system, and well, it does feel like it has a bit something to be desired depth-wise because you're mainly just using like the one attack button with not much in the way of like combo potential. I do see some potential to like do a bit more with that if they want to do like a more in-depth combat system. I think it could be fun to like actually do more intricate combat with a Sonic character beyond just what they're doing in Frontiers, because like I know this is a bit contentious. Some people didn't like it at first, but I personally didn't mind the Werehog all that much, though maybe that's because I played a lot of God of War growing up and I also enjoy like Devil May Cry and stuff like that. I enjoy hack and slash games. What can I say? I like stuff where I get the fights things. Go figure. Maybe a lot of Sonic fans out there just don't appreciate that sort of thing. You just don't want to endure platformer, I suppose, but like I don't know. It seems like something that would fit the character personality-wise in terms of like making it work from a mechanic standpoint. That's the real challenge, honestly. Like, how do you make Sonic-style combat work in a platformer? I guess would be the big question. Like, how do you make that work? How do you manage that? I can see a lot of debate on that as well. Personally, I wouldn't mind, but again, I'm a guy who likes hack and slash games, so obviously I'm not going to be bothered by it as much as someone who probably wants a more pure platformer experience, I suppose. Difference in taste. It'd be like that sometimes. No. I do have to wonder. Because like I have brought up like certain moves that seem like aren't necessary before in that one video, where I was responding to that Jiggy guy. There are some moves that just seem like, yeah, we don't really need them anymore. We'll probably like do something else with those or just scrap them. Though, because of how much focus there is on Sonic, because of him being the only playable character for so long, we don't really discuss like how these movesets should work for like the rest of the cast nearly as much. I wouldn't mind like seeing some debate on like, hey, how should we approach this sort of thing with, say, moveset for Tails or Knuckles or Amy, Shadow, you know, all kinds of characters. There's so many to choose from, honestly. Heck, imagine like the gameplay potential of like some of these other like IDW characters that are showing up more lately, like Tangle, the lemur with that crazy ass tail of hers. Like, can you imagine the wild stuff you could do with that thing? Probably do like some crazy grapple mechanics where she'd just be swinging off of shit and like gathering up speed and flinging off to who knows where, or like using it as a catapult or something, like slingshot or whatever. Like freaking Luffy in One Piece, even Gum Gum Rocket, that shit. That could be fun to pull off in Sonic level design. Can you imagine? And that's just like conceptual, let alone getting to like the nitty gritty of like how the mechanics would actually work with like the button inputs and like environment design. So much potential there. Could be fun. Yeah, that's just me. That's just the kind of stuff I like talking about. I don't know. Maybe I'm the oddball. But yeah, just a lot to talk about when it comes to like Sonic level design, gameplay mechanics, how we can make that stuff work and make it fun. Oh shit. Oh, now that's speed right there, baby. Oh yeah. Now can you imagine if like a 3D Sonic game just lets you go ham with shit like this? And I don't even have a boost mechanic in this game. And it still feels exhilarating. That is fun. Like, come on. Like, we gotta cook with some stuff out here. I'm just saying. What else is there to talk about? And I'm not sure how we would make certain characters in particular work. I mean, there's certainly some that would probably be easier to manage than others. Like, oh yeah, we could definitely come up with some cool stuff for SBO, the Chameleon. Maybe figure out something with Fang, the Sniper. Charmy would be a bit more of a challenge because of how he generally functions, like he's always flying, but I'm sure someone would be able to figure out a way to make that work. Hell, maybe if I took enough time I could find a way to make that work. I mean, I already have some ideas for Tails I think would be pretty neat, and some of them do involve a grapple mechanic, and that I think would really kind of like help him come more into his own gameplay-wise, instead of just the whole being in Sonic Shadow thing, which, you know, there's been a lot of narrative talk about that whole getting out of his brother Shadow and being his own guy and stuff. I wouldn't mind having some gameplay aspects reflect that more, and beyond just give him a mech suit or whatever. Like, let's have him like work wonders with his tech and do some cool stuff with that, eh? I'm just saying, could be fun. Give him some grapple mechanics, have him do some cool shit with the flying in combination with that. You could do some cool level design stuff with that you normally wouldn't be able to pull off with Sonic's moveset alone. I'm just saying the potential is there. The potential is there. So yeah. Like, I could go on about like what I want to do with Knuckles' moveset. What can we do to make Shadow stand out from Sonic instead of them just being clones of each other? What kind of cool action stuff could we do with Silver's whole telekinesis thing? And so on and so forth. I know like Blaze is a fan favorite, you could do a lot of stuff with her in that fire. Much to talk about with Sonic characters and like their gameplay potential. I'm surprised there's like more discussion about it more often. Usually most discussion about the cast is more about like the personalities and like their narrative importance, but we don't really talk enough about like their mechanics, I feel. Like how would they work when playing as them? Especially with like how rare it is to get certain characters playable in a full 3D game. It still baffles me that to this day, Blaze the Cat has never been playable in a 3D Sonic game other than Sonic 06, even though like she was there for like the beginning of the Boost gameplay. You think she'd be in a 3D Boost game, but no, she's just never been in one. Isn't that freaking weird? Why is she not playable in a 3D Boost game? It's practically built for her, dude. It makes no sense. Anyways, that's about my time, and yeah, definitely like things to talk about later. Probably move on to some other topics, like say Shantae lore. Something about Shantae's lore has been bugging me something fierce. I'll probably make another video about that later. So yeah.